It's because it's a classical language, it's ancient, it's older than even Sanskrit. The bedrock of Dravidian politics is based on anti-Hindi agitation. Let me clarify here, Hindi at present is an official language and not national language. Jagan Mohan Reddy, he would like all primary schools to learn English medium. Nobody protested.
Hello and welcome. I'm Srinivasan and this is Talking Sense with Srini. Looks like there's no end to the language wars as Tamil Nadu politicians continue to up the ante against the central government's three-language policy. Well, in this edition, we're not just going to focus on Tamil Nadu, but also the implications of the three-language policy on its neighbouring states. Joining me is our editor-in-chief, Mr. Srinivasan. So thank you.
Yeah, hi.
Let me begin with this. Why is Tamil Nadu so obsessed with the two-language policy in first place?
Yeah, you need to understand it's a long history of the language movement in Tamil Nadu. It's over 100 years old, where people here have been raising this issue. But even before, in 1930s, if I had to recall, when the first Governor General tried to impose Hindi, there was loud protest, and then he had to withdraw. Then in 1948, when Omadur Reddy became the first Chief Minister of the state, again the same problem happened. He wanted Hindi to be imposed and had to quickly withdraw because of huge protest. Subsequently, in the 1960s, again, the anti-Hindi movement broke out. So if you go through all of these, you will find that the bedrock of Dravidian politics is based on anti-Hindi agitation. Both C.N. Annadrai, who became the Chief Minister of DMK, and he was the founder of the party, and later Karnataka, got their prominence through anti-Hindi agitations. So it's been the part of Dravidian movement also. So it was not just anti-Brahmin movement, it was also anti-Hindi movement. And the bedrock of entire Dravidian culture and politics is based on this. That's one side of the story. That is only the politics of it. The other thing is Tamilians deeply love their language. The love of Tamil is so firmly ingrained in every person in this state. It's unbelievable. It's because it's a classical language, it's ancient, it's older than even Sanskrit, it's thousands of years old. So, and then they have this language has produced several voluminous literature. Yeah. You know, you have Tolkappiyam, you have Aimberum Kappiyam, which means five big, they have produced literature, tomes of things, Ramayanam, Kambar Ramayanam. Yeah. Then Thiruvalluvar, who has written couplets, many of them with, even in today, you can recall in every practical aspects of life, you can remember those couplets. So it has been a huge impact in, it has touched, the language has touched even a common citizen here. So therefore, and they hold it very closely to their heart, and it's a part of their identity. So if, the identity of Tamil Nadu is built on the bedrock of these two, language and their culture. So people are therefore very, very worried when they feel that any other language, especially Hindi, could be imposed on them. Why they? It's not as if they dislike Hindi. People here want to learn, they are curious about Hindi like any other language. If you have to, there is a Rashtrabhasha, Hindi Rashtrabhasha, not Rashtrabhasha, Hindi Bhasha Prachar Sabha.
Dakshina
Bharati Hindi Prachar Sabha, pardon me. It has got a huge enrollment here. Whole lot of people have, perhaps all over India, if you have to look at it, it's one of the biggest enrollment as compared to the neighboring states. Very high level of enrollment, which means people are willing to learn that language. But what they absolutely dislike and resist is any attempt to impose this. Now, again, why attempts are being, how these attempts were made. Again, in the 1960s, it was decided what should be the official language, whether it should be both Hindi and English. So it was then decided that Hindi will be the sole language. Again, another agitation broke out here. Then the government had to say that, okay, we'll have English continued as a linked language for 15 years. Another agitation broke. Finally, the government had to say, finally in 1968, through an official language a resolution which was passed saying that, okay, three language formula would be implemented all over the country, which would mean English as an official language, Hindi as another official language, and any other regional language. And an exception was made for Tamil Nadu, where it was decided that only there would be two language formula.
That's right.
Which is Tamil and English. And it was also decided that the continuance of English as a linked language would be till it is decided, in a way, perpetuity.
But if you really look at Tamil Nadu's neighbors, we understand Tamil Nadu's sentiments, but if you really look at its neighbors, they still have a three-language policy there. So isn't this quite contradictory to what the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister is saying?
Exactly. I mean, the question, if I had to reframe your question, you're asking me if there was so much love and affection, so much resistance in Tamil Nadu for Tamil against, Hindi, what about other southern languages?
That's right.
After all, there are two language systems which are formed in India. One is the Aryan, that's where the Sanskrit and Hindi is born. Mm-hmm. And the other is Dravidian. There are two different systems, two different scripts and two different approaches to language. Why not in Kerala? Why not in Karnataka? Why not such a resistance in Andhra or Telangana? I mean, these are very obvious questions. I mean, each state here has a very unique unique culture, and the way the language has developed and the way the people there have embraced this language. And there are differences. If we have to go one by one, each state has a different story to tell. You tell me where to begin, and we can start talking about it.
I want to talk about Kerala first, right? I mean, we see Kerala is deeply rooted in its values, right? I mean, but you also see a significant chunk of Malayalis actually speak wonderful Hindi. So we don't really see much of an impact there.
Absolutely. See, one of the reasons is that it's a very highly literate state. Early on, I think the Kerala Education Bill of 1957, which ensured that almost everybody, there was a universal attempt at universal education. Also, you have to remember the first left rule came there, and they really emphasized on a lot of education. So, it was uniformly spread, and many people from Kerala, many Malayalis, found opportunities around the globe. They traveled and then found jobs. For employment, they did not restrict to just traveling to north. They went all over the world. You would find, one of the biggest nursing community in this country comes from Kerala. Of course, in absolute number, there are a whole lot of nurses who also go from Tamil Nadu. But a large chunk go from Kerala. And you will find them working all over the world. You will find them in Germany. You will find them in Middle East. You will find them even in war-torn places. And they work all over. And they bring back their experiences. Many Keralites have worked in Gulf. And they are pretty open and very confident about their language. So they never had any problem learning Hindi or any problem about three-language formula, and they have, nicely adopted it. And it doesn't mean that politically they don't oppose Hindi when any attempt is made to impose on them. For instance, whenever in 2019 or 2020, a resolution was, not a resolution, when it was brought up, the official languages committee met in Delhi, and Amit Shah brought up this issue that, look, the time has now come to make Hindi a national language. Let me clarify here, Hindi at present is an official language and not national language. Both English and Hindi are official languages. So when such a proposal was mooted, why not make Hindi a national language? Even Kerala opposed it immediately. So anything politically attempted, Kerala immediately opposes it. And Kerala has been with other states also whenever federal issues are raised. But on the language issue, they have embraced three-language formula without any problem. They're pretty confident about their own culture and their own language. Mm-hmm. Another little example here, if I may give, if you see the number of news channels or a number of, language, papers and magazines, if you have to look at per capita population, I am sure it's one of the highest in India. Mm-hmm. Because a very high literacy rate, they consume a lot of stuff in Malayalam. A lot of movies, creative movies come out of that. So they're pretty confident about their language.
Okay, so I think keeping the spotlight on the Telugu states there. So I mean, when you talk about Telugu, what I remember is Jagan Mohan Reddy's huge push for English learning in schools. So I know, how do you see the impact there?
It's a very interesting question. Andhra Pradesh separated from Madras state, and there was a huge agitation.
That's right.
In 1953, finally, it was decided that Andhra would be a different. I'm talking about an undivided Andhra Pradesh, when Telangana was also a part of that.
Part of that, yeah.
A separate state was formed. That time, it was on the linguistic basis. So, India was reorganized on the basis of languages. So, therefore, Andhra Pradesh was carved out on the basis of Telugu as a bedrock of their language. But once the split happened, and from Madras state, Andhra Pradesh was formed. After that, there was no agitation. It simply died down. It didn't form identity politics there. Similarly, in 1982, N.T. Ramarao, he came to power using the slogan of Telugu Bidda, Telugu pride, because the state saw leaders from the centers plundering and kind of disrespecting state leaders. T. Anjaya, one great example, who was the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. Congress had a very long tradition in Andhra Pradesh, and it was seen as if Congress party is trampling upon leaders from Delhi, on the state leaders. So there was a huge protest over it, and N.T. Ramarao, who was a film star, managed to encash on that sentiment, and he launched his Telugu Desam party, and TDP came to power, which to power within 11 months. Is a phenomenal rise of his rise. N.T. Ramarao, and the same party, the same legacy which his son-in-law Chandrababu Naidu carries on. But again, though he raised the Telugu pride, it never became part of
the politics.
The politics. So Telugu never became an identity. So imagine, years later, when the state split into Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, Jagan Mohan Reddy, the Andhra CM, would actually say that he would like all primary schools to learn English medium. And there was not a stitch of protest. Nobody protested. The Tamilians obviously would have protested very heavily, because their affection to language is very different from what you can perceive in Andhra Pradesh. The other factor is that if you go historically and look at why this has happened, the language movements in Andhra Pradesh were actually all led by Brahmins. And those who actually assumed power later is Reddys and Kammas. And they didn't have much interest in carrying on with the same language issues. And the other thing is, if you look at Hyderabad or the other regions of Andhra Pradesh, they have been for a long time ruled by Nizams before the Britishers came. And Nizam's official language is Urdu, Parsi, and also Telugu. So if you see in those regions, they have adopted all this and the mixture of all of this. So they had no hesitation in embracing Hindi. Therefore, you would never see any such murmurs coming from that part of the region. And Andhra people and Telangana people are very aspirational. They all want to go and study. Many of them want to go to United States. You would find one of the highest enrollment happening there. So their language aspiration is actually now become English, but they have no problem with Hindi.
One last question there, and on Karnataka, we have the Federal has been pushing a series on the language divide there, and the Karnataka Bureau has filed this particular article where they said the Kannadigas feel preferential treatment for Hindi has limited job opportunities for the local talent there. I mean, you believe Karnataka could potentially sort of push for a two-language policy, just like what Tamil Nadu is doing. We see a subtle hints coming in similar to Tamil Nadu trends.
So I'm not here to recommend what the state should be doing, but before we go further, I think you raised a very important point. The Federal is running a long series on how three-language formula has worked out in the neighboring states and why there is whatever is resistance in Tamil Nadu. This series, The Great Language Divide, I think we should provide the link.
Absolutely, we'll have it in the comment section there.
Yeah, and the readers will have option to read all of that. It's a very rich, long series, and everybody will benefit. Now, coming back to your question, Karnataka. You see, again, Karnataka adopted a three-language formula without any problem.
That's right.
Also because historically, if you find, Congress has been in rule. and later JD, but largely it is national parties which have been ruling there. Okay, and even now the two dominant parties are Congress and BJP, and both these parties always insisted on having Hindi. They gave prominence to Hindi in a way. So there was no regional resistance or any political mobilization the way it has happened in Tamil Nadu. That's one reason. But of late, there have been murmurs there because there is a strong Karnataka language is again a very rich history. Karnataka literature, the writings there have the vachanas and other things. They have a long tradition. So people there also they love their language. Of late, though even the current Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has opposed imposition of Hindi, he never actually got down to any participation of agitation politics. But then, from the federal reports, what we are learning is, our own reporters have filed that there is a movement now towards why don't we also adopt a two-language formula as Tamil Nadu had done. Why that has happened, if you have to look at it, why people learn languages? It should have not just a communication or just it's not utilitarian, it is also cultural and it is also emotion, all those things I have said. But what overrules, in the current situation is you learn a language also because of opportunities, job opportunities and
That's
other
Better
things
lifestyle.
open up for you.
That's right.
So the people in there is one very strong point of view that they learned Hindi and English and Kannada as a mother tongue, but they are not getting job opportunities in central government jobs. For instance, all banking jobs, the public sector banks hold their exams either in English or in Hindi. So even if a person has studied Hindi in Karnataka and he's okay with English, but he doesn't want to appear in English language and he prefers a regional language, he is not so proficient to appear and clear a Hindi exam. So Hindi continues to be tough for them. So the thing here is, therefore, they begin to feel that it is not giving them the job opportunities. So why not switch back to two-language formula? What's the point of learning three language if
That's
two
right,
can do a
exactly.
purpose as neighboring Tamil Nadu is doing? So I think that's a point of view. I think readers can know more about it by reading that story from Karnataka. And one final point I would like to make. You see, all of this, whether it is three language and except one state, Tamil Nadu, which is standing out on two language formula, the whole mess is happened because Tamil Nadu has a point when it points out three language formula has never been implemented in letter and spirit across India in any other part, which is true. They could not implement because the implementation was never thought through. For instance, if you are in Delhi or if you are a student in Madhya Pradesh and you want to embrace three language formula, so you will be taught in your mother tongue Hindi, you will learn English as a link language. What should be the third language? The new education policy also says that English plus two modern Indian languages. Now, what are the two modern Indian languages? The option is left to the students. So, if they want to pick up, suppose you are from Tamil Nadu and you are in Madhya Pradesh, you want to pick up Tamil, they may not have those classes in Tamil because they may not have enough infrastructure to give you, that education. So somebody wants to do in Malayalam, somebody wants to do in Assam, somebody wants to do in Orissa. None of this opportunity could be given to that student. So what they do end up giving Sanskrit as an option, which is actually not a modern language. It's again a classical language. It's an old language. And therefore, most people end up learning Sanskrit, and that too they actually don't learn. They study for 5 years, but they know that they can score well in their exams, and therefore it is very useful, and they pick up that. The same thing happens in other parts of India. When a third language is offered, they either prefer Sanskrit or they pick up any other foreign language. So in the previous one, in this now they may have to pick up only 2 Indian languages. How that is going to work out, one has to wait and see. But this is a problem. The 3-language formula implementation has been a mess right from the beginning.
So thank you very much. Insightful talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.